Hello. Oh, I need to charge this. So that this doesn't go off. Sorry about that. Hello. Good evening. Well, it's evening on my end. Actually, it's night. It's 8:30 p.m. on my end. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of MummyMo Speaks. Hello, Uma Mairiga. Ogunbeni. Or is it Beni? P Glory. Lizafia. Good evening, everybody. Okay, this is usually brief. If this is your first time joining me live, my name is MummyMo. I'm sure you already know that. My name is MummyMo, and okay, it paused for a minute there. So what happens on MummyMo Speaks is that I answer questions that you have about your child's hair or your own hair. You know, if something's been bothering you, you have an issue, I answer. Okay, and usually the answers are sent to me beforehand, and then I answer here on the live, and then sometimes people ask questions right on the live, and if we have enough time, I answer them as well. So I'll just go straight into it. My first question for today. Hello, Jenny, Mommy, Abian, Debbie, Balu. Welcome. First question. How often should I deep condition my daughter's hair? It's relative. Okay? This question is relative because it would, first of all, depend on the age of your child. For example, there's no need to deep condition a baby's hair. At the newborn stage, some babies don't even have hair, so deep condition is completely out of the question. Most of the time, just as a rule of thumb, is not cast in stone. Hi, Maya Mariam. It's not cast in stone, but generally, as a rule of thumb, I like to say deep conditioning should commence once your child is above the age of 12 months, 12 to 18 months. And then this is now relative because some babies at 12 months don't even have volume. They don't have sufficient hair volume to actually warrant the need for deep conditioning. So like I said, it's relative, it's not cast in stone. And it's a case of knowing, okay, my child's hair, it needs this at this time. All right? So your child is 12 months, doesn't have much hair, there's no need to deep condition. Okay? And then there are some children at the age of 9 months who have so much hair that it probably would make sense to deep condition, you know, which is why it's important to use kids or products specially formulated for children. So you know that what you're using for your child is not strong and will likely not have side effects because they're made for children. Okay. But most of the time, just as a rule of thumb, I would say from the age of 12 months, between 12 and 18 months, you can begin to deep condition. Now, how often you should deep condition? If your child is really young, so let's start from the 12 to 18 month mark, I would say every other wash day, because at that age, you're probably washing your child's hair maybe once a week or once every 10 days. And I say every other wash day because your child is not like really exposed to manipulation, environmental stressors that tend to dry out our hair. You understand? You're not doing a lot of styling. You're not going to the salon, for example, you know. So I say every other wash day. If you are now washing your child's hair every 2 weeks, maybe they are now toddlers, you're washing every 2 weeks, my advice to you would first B, are you dealing with a lot of dryness? If you're dealing with a lot of dryness and you know this child's hair is dry, you know it is dry, and you've been struggling, then my advice to you would be to deep condition on every wash day. In fact, in toddlerhood, at about 3, 4, if you're really dealing with a lot of dryness, my advice to you would be to actually wash weekly as opposed to washing every 2 weeks. Wash weekly for like the first 6 weeks. Wash weekly and deep condition weekly. And that just tends to do like a little reset for the moisture profile of the hair, okay? But if you do not have that issue, if you don't have issue of like really chronic dryness, then if you are washing every 2 weeks, you can get away with using the deep conditioner only once in a month. But that would mean that the wash day that you're not using a deep conditioner, you are using a rinse out conditioner. So there must be some conditioning. Some conditioning must happen after you shampoo, okay? So on the whole, generally, if your child has relatively healthy hair, you don't have issues, right? In terms of damage, in terms of dryness, then you could alternate the deep conditioning, okay? You can alternate it. Your child's hair is retaining moisture well, you're retaining length well, you can alternate it, okay? Nothing bad there. And if you feel that you want to deep condition on every wash day, even though your child's hair is healthy, then please go ahead. It doesn't have any negative side effect. All right? It doesn't have any negative side effect. So deep conditioning, you have to factor in your child's age, how much volume of hair they have, and if you're dealing with any issues like dryness or damage. If it's stuff like damage, maybe like heat damage, which you may or may not be able to recover from, the hair is no longer elastic, it's not curling well and all of that, then you need a deep conditioner that has like some protein in it to help with the structure of the hair once again, okay? And once there's damage, trimming and deep conditioning will now go hand in hand. So there's no point just deep conditioning. That would do that would give you some respite, but to really get rid of damage, which usually happens at the ends of the hair. It's not often you have mid-shaft hair damage. It's usually at the ends. Do a trim and then up your deep conditioning game weekly for a while, 4 to 6 weeks, and then alternate it on your wash days. Okay, that's what I would say. My next question: does trimming? I didn't even really think about the second question, and I already started talking about trimming. Does trimming actually help my daughter's hair? A very, 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 very big yes. It helps your daughter's hair. It helps your hair. Why? First and foremost, if all things being equal, if everything goes well for your daughter's hair, the regimen, everything is fine. That is, you're not doing anything to harm the hair. You're not doing anything that is damaging the hair. Everything is good, right? The hair will still weather. The ends of the hair will still weather because they are the oldest parts of the hair. It's a biological thing. It's wear and tear. It's like wearing shoes, okay? You buy brand new shoes, even if they're leather, you buy brand new shoes from store or wherever. For the first couple of months, they look great, all right? And you're taking care of them. Because remember I said all things are going good, right? You're taking care of the shoes. If they get soiled, you clean them, you apply, polish, you do all of that. 1 year down the line, the shoe still looks okay. 2 years down the line, the shoe may not have opened up like in the front or have lost a heel, but the leather is not as firm as it was when you first bought it. Wear and tear. So that happens to our hair as well. So all things being equal, you've completely managed to eliminate damage in any way, dryness, everything. Hair will still weather. All right, so the ends of the hair will weather. When they weather, they're not as resilient as the strands of the hair that are closer to your scalp. Okay, so they're weaker and their porosity is high. There's no two ways about it. The ends of your hair, I don't care if you have low porosity hair, if you have medium porosity hair, whatever kind of porosity you have, the tips of your hair have high porosity. And that's because they're old, they're weathered, they've worn out. Okay? So you've eliminated all sorts of damage. Your only issue is weathered ends. you still need to trim them off because they are weak and they will be breaking off on their own, right? But if you trim from time to time, you keep the weathering at bay. So you don't have to, for example, if this was a strand of hair and then the end was weathered and then you don't trim it and then the weathering, like it creeps up, it continues to creep up, right? But if you trim from time to time, you don't allow that weathering to creep up the strands of the hair. So that's one. So that's how trimming helps your hair. So you trim off weathered ends, old ends from time to time, helps you to retain length. Good. Point 2. You've not been able to do everything right, okay? So they're split ends. Either you're using heat, using direct heat too often, or you're manipulating the hair too often, so the ends of the hair are split. You need to trim them. You don't trim them, the split will travel up. So the hair strand is like this, and then when it splits, it opens up. So this opening up will continue to open up along the hair strand. Whereas if you're able to cut off the split, then you have ends that are intact, okay? And having ends that are intact means that you can retain more length, all right? So trimming does actually help your child's hair. It helps it to retain length. Your child's hair can only get longer if the ends of the hair are not lost indiscriminately. And I use that word indiscriminately because you have a role to play. If you are observant and you are regular with trimming, the ends of the hair continue to get longer because hair is going off the scalp, all right? Trimming also helps when hair begins to tangle a lot more, and not a lot more at the ends. You know something is wrong. And so a good trim usually helps to sort that out. So trimming does actually help your daughter's hair. I can't do it without hair scissors in my stash. I must always have hair scissors on hand. Whenever there's a wash day coming up, we must always have hair scissors on hand because it's really, really important to get rid of all those dead ends, all those withered ends, and any split ends if they are present. So next question. My daughter has nice long hair, but it is not full. What can I do to make it full and thick? I have so many people, so many moms in my DM with this question. I need to make her hair thick. I want her hair to be very, very thick. I want it to be very, very thick. Okay. Now, hair thickness is as a result of two things. First is overall thickness, which is what we call volume, and that is dependent on hair density, how many strands of hair you have on your head, or how many strands of hair your child has on her head, which is how many follicles she has in her scalp, which is already determined from her birth. So there's nothing you can do to increase the number of hair strands. So there's thickness in terms of the overall volume, which is the number of hair strands. So some people have so many hair strands on their head because they have so many hair follicles in their scalp. Some people don't have that. So they have fewer, which means that the follicles are a bit more spaced out. All right. So there's that type of thickness, the overall thickness. All right. Then there's thickness in terms of the strand itself, the hair strand itself, like one strand of hair. Some people's own is very thick. It's as thick as like thread. It's as thick as thread, or even thicker than, just regular sewing thread, cotton thread. Some people's hair, one strand is thicker than that. That is also thickness. But then, someone with thick strands may not have a lot of strands, a lot of follicles, so she may not have high density hair. So the hair may not look very full, all right, but the hair strand is thick. And then there's some people whose hair strands are not thick, but they now have so many follicles that the hair is a lot. An example of that is my first child. So Marife's hair she doesn't have, comparing her to her younger sister's hair is more dense. So that younger one has more follicles, more hair strands, right? But then Marife's hair strands are not very thin. So when I take out her hair, they're like kind of like medium thickness, kind of. So by the time I take out her hair and I leave it, you're like, oh my gosh, she has so much hair. When if I were to part her hair and part her sister's hair, you see more scalp in her own than her sister's own. Okay, so just try and understand the different things that go into this thickness issue that we're talking about. All right, it could be that your child has a lot of hair follicles, so the child hair is thick, and then it could be that it doesn't have so many hair follicles, so the hair looks sparse. All right, but then when it comes to achieving that fullness you want, that volume, the first thing I would advise you, or the first thing I would suggest, is moisture, because hair swells. When hair is moisturized, it swells. There's a post I put up, I think it's about 4 posts back now, where I showed you the difference between 2 twists on my own daughter's hair. One was the old protective style, and it was like kind of dry, but I wouldn't say it was like bone dry, because it was still pliable, right? So it's not dry like bad kind of dryness. It's just bad like it wasn't freshly moisturized. And then on the other side, there was a twist that I just moisturized and sealed. And the one that I just moisturized and sealed, I'd used a hydrating mist, I'd used a leave-in conditioner, I'd used a butter lotion, and it was thicker, it was full, I was fatter than the drier one. So just starting from that point, if your child's hair is well moisturized, it tends to be fuller because hair swells. Okay, so imagine if right now your status quo is that your child's hair looks really thin, it's not very full, but it's dry. When you start moisturizing, when you start deep conditioning, and the moisture profile of your child's hair goes up, you will notice some fullness. So that's one part. Okay, another part is using products which thicken the strand. So these are usually Ayurvedic products, and on the most part we don't usually use them for children. Like, for example, you wouldn't usually want to do a henna treatment on a child. Henna thickens hair because it binds to the hair shaft. So something that is sitting on something has already increased its width or its size. All right, so you don't usually do that for children. What I would just tell you, for your child, if you want to achieve fullness, is, as much as you can, ensure there's adequate moisture. From the inside, meaning that your child is drinking a lot of water, and you're moisturizing the hair. You're washing regularly, which allows moisture to get in on wash days. You're deep conditioning often enough. You're moisturizing often enough, and you're sealing well. Very, very important. I have some questions in the question box. Tolu Ayaba says, I've never trimmed my 4-year-old daughter's hair because I'm not sure how to do that or how often I need to do it. Okay, how to trim. This is going to take us a long time to do it. Okay, let me see if I can quickly answer the other ones and then come back to you, Tolu. Mariam says, how about palm oil as a treatment? What type of treatment? What type of treatment are you talking about? Is it a hot oil treatment? Is it a deep conditioning treatment? Palm oil, how are you incorporating that? If you can be specific, then I can answer the question. I have a big problem with dryness for my daughter's hair. I do see, so it's growing but it's dry. Please correct me. It's growing but it's dry. If it's growing but it's dry, it means that your moisture technique is not optimal, right? And there are a couple of factors to consider. I don't know where you live. Are you in Nigeria? Are you abroad? Because the weather also impacts on moisture levels. If you're in the northern part of Nigeria, it's different from if you're in the southern part of Nigeria. Is it dry where you are? Do you moisturize her hair daily? Do you moisturize it every other day? Does she sleep with a satin bonnet? Okay, because dryness is because your child's hair is losing moisture. And if it's losing moisture either to the environment, it's losing moisture to the pillowcase she sleeps with at night, and then it's losing moisture because there isn't enough moisture to start with. Okay, so, and like I said already, when I was talking about deep conditioning, if you're dealing with dryness, my first suggestion to you, or my first recommendation to you, would be to deep condition weekly for at least 4 to 6 weeks. Wash every week and deep condition on every wash day. It helps to infuse moisture back, and then you now have to be on top of moisturizing with a liquid, with a leave-in moisturizer, and then with a sealant, whether it's an oil or a butter, and you need to do it consistently, okay? So Tolu Ayaba, you've never trimmed your daughter's hair because you don't know how to do it or how you need to do it. So some people trim on a schedule. So you're in USA, Kimariam, you're in the USA, you use a satin bonnet. So it could be the weather, because I think right now it's cold. I don't know what part you're in. It could be the weather. But start with what I've suggested. Deep condition more often. Deep condition more often. I don't know how old your child... Did you put your child's age? No, you didn't put your child's age. So I don't know how old she is, but if she swims, you may need to incorporate a chelating 12, 11, and 8. You may need to incorporate a chelating shampoo because chlorine forms a barrier on hair and doesn't allow moisture to penetrate. I don't know if they swim, stuff like that. And then also water, the water in your area. Is it hard water? If it's hard water, that also can cause dryness. So you need a shampoo that will lift off those minerals that sat on the hair and that are preventing moisture from penetrating, and then do the moisture thing, do the wash day, do the deep conditioning, and do the sealing very, very often. Okay. So for Tolu's question, how do you trim without cutting more than needed? Okay, usually a trim is usually about 1 centimeter or like half a centimeter, thereabout. Or if you... How will I do this in the shortest possible time? Okay, so you take a twist. You know what, Tolu? Because I don't want to take too much time. This is not supposed to be something very long. Tolu, please, can you send me a DM? And I will try to send you a video that I did for someone on how to trim, so you don't trim off more than is necessary. Okay, and it also shows you how to trim. All right, so usually, because I know some people also want to know, the way I trim is on the wash day, hair is thoroughly detangled. You're welcome, Miriam. I hope I helped. Hair is thoroughly detangled. I do twists. I do smaller twists, so I don't do like really chunky twists, so I can get more ends. I do like medium-sized twists, and then at the end, you take a look at the end of the twist, and where it's thinnest is where you trim off. So a trim is usually not very deep unless the hair is very damaged, in which case what you'll be doing will be a haircut, not a trim. A trim is a trim. A trim is just something small. You want to trim something, it's just very little. You trim half an inch, you trim 1 centimeter, you trim half a centimeter, depending on the length of weathering or the amount of split ends. Okay, so Tolu, please send me a DM and I'll see that I'll work that out for you. But just generally, the way I do it, I do a twist. The hair is like virtually almost dry, like not dry like bad dryness, but dry in terms of like it's not wet, it's not soaking wet. Twist the ends, the part that is thinned out, like really, really thinned out, you just snip that off. And usually if you do it every about 4 months, 3-4 months, those thin ends are not really long, so you just trim off just a little. And what you have are thicker ends. In fact, I need you guys, if you're really interested in the trimming, go to my last couple of posts. I showed a picture, a video, and a photo of my daughter's hair after I trimmed it. So the ends should look like that once you're done trimming. They should be curly. They shouldn't thin out. They shouldn't like be straggly and have hair hanging from the tip of the twist or the braid or whatever. It should curl and be like lumpy at the end. That's how you know that the ends are relatively okay. I think, okay, Mariam, you said deep conditioning with palm oil. Palm oil. I know that some formulations include palm oil. Some deep conditioning formulations include palm oil. But then I think it's processed in a way that is useful to the hair. So like plain palm oil that you have in your kitchen is a bit, will I say waxy? And I am not sure it can penetrate into the hair strands. What I would suggest, if you like mixing oils in your deep conditioner, is to use palm kernel oil. There's a difference between palm oil and palm kernel oil, and palm kernel oil is also really good for the scalp. So palm kernel oil is yellowish, like golden in color. So it's not red and thick and very viscous like the palm oil that we use in cooking. All right. So palm kernel oil would be a better substitute, a better alternative for you to include in with your deep conditioner for a deep conditioning treatment. It's more beneficial. I know it would help. That one, I know it would help. I'm not too sure about the palm oil bit. Yes, you can also use olive oil. You can also use coconut oil, because in a deep conditioning treatment, whatever is in that treatment needs to be able to penetrate into the hair strands. Okay, and not all oils can do that. Not all oils can do that. I'm not sure if palm oil on its own can penetrate. I think it would sit. I think because of its molecular, like its chemistry, its structure. But something like palm kernel oil, olive oil, coconut oil, they can penetrate into the hair strands to a certain degree. So those are more beneficial oils to use when you're doing a deep conditioning treatment. Okay, so I'll just take one more question. You're new in all this natural hair. Oh, and your children are quite like grown up. Don't worry, I'm here for you. Eyimufe, please, how can I grow my 14-month-old daughter's hair? Okay, so I've said this time and time again. You can't grow your child's hair. It's not like a plant that you plant the seed. And well, it's like a plant. Let me not even just confuse myself. It's like a plant, right? But then the ability of your child's hair to grow is not something that you have 100% control over. I've said this so many times. I don't know if you're new on here. Your child's hair is constantly growing. Back to you, Mariam. Your child's hair is constantly growing. Constantly growing. We will all grow hair until we die, unless something happens that alters that. So your child's hair, even if please listen to me very carefully, your child's hair is constantly growing, right? Now the rate at which it is growing is now a different matter. The rate at which some people's hair grows is very fast. In a month, they can grow more than half an inch of hair. For some people, it's less, all right? And all of this is determined usually by your genetics, by your biology, all right? So it's not something you can change. What you can control as the mother is her nutrition, what feeds hair growth from the inside, which is being healthy. Because unless your child is ill, your child is growing, your child is healthy, the hair is also growing, all right? It is illness that now alters hair growth or interrupts the hair growth cycle, all right? Or medications interrupts the hair growth cycle and now stops hair from growing out. But all things being equal, your child's hair is growing. Your job is first keep your child adequately nourished in terms of food and in terms of water. All right? Your child is 14 months old, so your child is eating solids. Your child is drinking water. Ensure she drinks a lot of water to hydrate from the inside. Ensure that her nutrition is adequate. Try different ways to give her different types of foods to eat, which will supply her with different vitamins and minerals that support hair growth, that support healthy hair strands. All right, that's one part you can control because that's your job as a mother. The other part you can control is once the hair has come out of the scalp, you can protect it from breaking. All right, and you can do this by incorporating good kids hair products. Cleanse often, which is shampoo often, wash often. At 14 months, every week or every 10 days is fine. You need to shampoo. I don't know how much hair volume she has. Even if the hair is still a little, put a little conditioner at 14 months, a little like instant conditioner or rinse out conditioner to soften the hair and close back the cuticles. Rinse that off. Use a microfiber towel, not a cotton towel, so that even at the point of washing, you're not breaking off the hair. Once you're done with that and the hair is still a bit damp, apply a leave-in conditioner, which restores hair to its natural pH, infuses moisture, infuses humectants. Put a sealant, put a hair oil or a hair butter, depending on the volume of your child's hair, to make sure that the moisture you have put in from washing, from conditioning, from leave-in conditioner stays in your child's hair. Ensure that your child is using a satin bonnet or a silk bonnet. At her age, she should be able to use one. And if she doesn't like one, get a silk pillowcase. If she doesn't like that, use a silk headdress. you can check my online store. We have available for you. All right. And then if her hair is really scanty at this point, because since you say you want to grow it, it means it's not as much as you expect it to be, include some light scalp massages daily. That you can do, and then be patient. Be patient. I hope you're not using extensions. I hope you're not, doing all those funny things. Be patient. All the things I've said, do them and be patient. Give yourself time. When it comes to hair growth, moms, don't say, oh, in 2 weeks, there must be a remarkable difference. Hair grows slowly. Remember, I said some people in a month, they grow half an inch. Half an inch is not much. Half an inch is like this. In a whole month. I know our hair is not straight. Our hair curls. So when this kind of length curls, what will you see? You will see something like this. You understand what I mean? So, Eyimofe, be patient, feed well, and then care well from the outside. I was going to end with her question, but Ehiomenose, I hope I got that right. Can supplements like Well Kid for children affect the hair negatively? Well Kid is supposed to be like a multivitamin, if I'm correct. And as such, it shouldn't, unless it contains something that is not beneficial to the body. But most vitamin supplements do not affect hair negatively. My school of thought on supplements and vitamins is that usually they're not necessary if you're feeding your child adequately. If you're incorporating a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, a lot of different food groups, different kinds of fiber, different kinds of legumes. I don't have much video on YouTube. Yeah, this year is the year to populate YouTube. But go to Instagram. Instagram, I have a lot of content. All right? I have a lot of content on Instagram. YouTube, this is the year for it. 2022 is the year for it. In fact, the person who has been pressing me for YouTube is here on this live. She knows herself. Yeah, so we have that. So YouTube is up and coming. Yes, we have silk bed sheets, but they're for cribs and toddler beds. So they're for kids, not adult beds. Okay, so I hope I've been able to help. So far. I gotta go because this is usually, it shouldn't take too long so I don't bore you guys. All right, Mariam, you're laughing. 2022 is the year of YouTube. I've promised myself every 2 weeks I will upload something. So in a month you should see about 2 to 3 videos every month. Okay, so it will build up gradually. Just bear with us. Okay, social media is work. is work. Those that have multiple platforms, I don't know how they do it, but it's work. So thank you all for joining me. I hope I have been able to help. You need the satin bed sheets for kids, so please send me a DM, or you can check the online store. If you go to my Instagram page and you click the link, you can see all my links there, and just click on the online store, search in it for sheet or crib sheet or silk, and it'll come out. All right, Mariam, it's a pleasure. Yeah, so Tolu, please send me the DM, because I'm sure I've forgotten how to spell your Instagram handle. So just send me a DM so I know how to help you with the trimming video. Mariam, I hope I've helped. Ehi, I hope I've helped. Thank you everybody for joining me on another edition of MummyMo Speaks for today. That wraps it up for this evening. Usually I upload this on YouTube, and I also leave it on here for anyone to watch again and then listen to the questions. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Thank you too. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful, totally, it's my pleasure. Even though don't worry what you're thanking me for, but it's my pleasure anyway. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the evening. Bye-bye.